Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I will be reviewing Persepolis Rising, the seventh book in the Expanse series. I've been reading the Expanse, I think I started it last year, and now I'm finally on the seventh book. I just finished reading it, so without further ado, let's get into the review. I've really been enjoying the Expanse series so far. It's slowly becoming one of my favorite series, especially in science fiction, but also just in every genre, to be honest. And this book does a really good job of reinvigorating some energy into the series. Not that it was on a low point for me, but I think honestly it's a nice change of pace, this novel. There's also a time jump, which can be kind of disorienting for some people, but I really thought it was well done. It's not jarring at all, and I think this book is really a great addition to the series. As you know, as much as I've read, I have like two more books to go, which I'm excited about that. Um, yeah, and this book starts off with an invasion of the Sol system, and the introduction of Laconia is a very interesting plot point, and it really, like I said, invigorates the series, I think, and sort of separates this book from the others. We also develop, this book also develops a lot of the, you know, proto molecule, which I thought it was something in the series that felt like it was going to be important further down the line, or that it felt like something in the background for the last couple of books, in my opinion. So it's been really nice, I think, to see the proto molecule in action. The story sees Captain Holden and Naomi taking a step back from the Rocket, obviously before the invasion happens, which, in my opinion, I think that's one of the most enjoyable parts about this book in particular. Is it felt like all of the characters were on a different trajectory, but with the invasion, they kind of get sucked back into the plot, which I found really interesting and really grabbed my attention because sometimes when you have characters like this that are over this many novels, they can get kind of stale, but I'm glad that the plot really focuses in and kind of puts them in an awkward situation, to say the least. The introduction of Laconia is really well done in this and really helps to set the pace of the novel straight off the bat. Obviously, there's a little bit in the front end of the novel before they invade, but once Laconia invades, the novel really kicks off for me. And the entire section or plot surrounding Medina Station felt like a breath of fresh air, and it felt very intense. And honestly, it was like you could tell that like none of the characters were safe, which is like a really good thing in novels. When you can feel like, oh, the characters might actually die, and the desperation on Medina really exemplifies that point and really makes you wonder if the characters are even going to make it out of this situation. My one big issue with the plot, and it's not really, it might just be a personal thing. I really wasn't a big fan of the drummer parts in this, or even like the Saba and the other insurrectionist didn't really do much for me. The drummer parts were fun because of Abasarala, whatever. I can't spell. Make fun of me in the comments. Anyways, that besides her, the drummer parts felt kind of like it felt like it needed a little more time to develop, and it didn't really strike me as very compelling, and also felt like it took away from the Medina part of the plot, which was really interesting. And I think that might say more to how good the Medina plot is, more than the drummer parts are. They're not even bad. They're just not as good as the rest of the novel. And that's really the only complaint in the plot department for me. The highlights of these novels are still the crew of the Rocket. We've got to spend so much time with them, and this book really stressed their relationships in a way I don't think that the other novels really did. I mean, not as well, I think. This is really where their relationships start to strain a little bit, especially with the split that Holden makes, Holden and Naomi from the ship. That, when you mix it with, what's her name? Bobby in the books, the dynamic between them, because Holden gets pulled back. I think gets pulled back into the fold. I think that's a really intense way to have these characters that have known each other for a while and kind of add more tension to it. Now, Amos and Alex, I think, take a step back in this novel, not in terms of their writing, but mainly in just how much they're in it. But considering the other novels go more into them, it's kind of like something you have to, there's something you have to deal with when it comes to the series is there's going to be characters dropping in and out, and some novels are just going to focus on more, one character over another. So it's not necessarily a negative thing, it's just something I missed. Another interesting character I think is Singh, the new administrator of Medina Station from Laconia. I won't spoil the ending or anything, but I thought it was a very good, physical and present villain to have, and you add that dynamic between him and him having a family is it felt like he was a human but also a misdirected human or a misguided human, and I really enjoyed that part. My main complaint with the characters has to be Saba and the other rebels. I didn't really feel attached to them. I think for me it felt like they just didn't get enough time to develop. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Sound off in the comments if you really love Saba and the rebels, but I just wasn't really interested in them. The way this book sets up the wider problem in the solar system when it comes to Laconia, I think was really, really honestly one of the best parts about this series. It really, I mean, I've said this a bunch, but it really did feel like it refreshed the series when it was kind of ended pretty cleanly. So I was kind of curious, like, oh, where do we go next from here? But Laconia, I think, is a very powerful force and one that really feels dominant, but not enough to where it feels hopeless for for Mars and Earth. I think that balance that the writers had between Laconia being, overpowered and actually, believing that the people of the Soul System could actually fight back was really interesting and really well done. I love that this novel really dives deep into the deeper problems with the governments of Mars and Earth, and also the introduction of Laconia. I think it's a very interesting dynamic between the two because Laconia, they seem to have more stuff figured out than Mars and Earth, but their tactics are very brutal and not very friendly, which typical for dictatorships like that. And I think it felt very nuanced. Like you could definitely see where the Laconians were coming from, even though they were a bit smug. You could definitely see that, yeah, the solar system has a lot of problems. I still think the greatest part about The Expanse as a series is its more laid back writing style. It's not as, I don't know, artsy, for the lack of a better word, that some science fiction can fall under, specifically like, Hyperion. I mean, I love that novel, but it's like not very approachable for the average person. I won't spoil anything, but the ending of the novel is very satisfying. It sets up enough for the next novel as to where you're actually interested in it. But it avoids that annoying thing that some novels in a series can have, where it's like they purposely leave plot points, open just so you can read the next book. But The Expanse has always been really good at having a beginning, middle, and end of each book, while also continuing the plot forward, which I think is a very difficult thing to do. I've just experienced that with my writing and just watching shows and reading books and stuff in general. The more I read and watch stuff, it's like sometimes it feels like some writers just try to stray away from endings because they want you to keep reading the next book. They want you to keep reading the next book, but sorry, I just flipped my camera. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. Anyways, yeah, I thought the ending was really good and really satisfying. So that's my overall thoughts on the novel. I really enjoyed this one. Really good read. Another great addition to the series. Even though my complaints with the drummer and Saba parts and that part it's not that I hate that part, it's that I just don't like it as much. But besides a few nitpicks, I think this novel is a great addition to the series. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I don't know. I heard that there was a time jump in this one, so I just didn't know how I would feel about that, but I ended up really enjoying it. I'd probably give it around an 8 out of 10. Definitely, I don't know, it's probably middle of the road for the series in general, but there was a lot of high points in it. I would recommend every Expanse novel, though. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, just leave a like and subscribe if you want. I don't know. If you want to do that, you have free will or not. I don't know. You may not have free will. Sorry if you don't. I'm rambling. Well, anyways, that was my review of Persepolis Rising. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good rest of your days or nights, whenever you're watching this. And that's it. See you in the next one.